Special episode of Home Decor Homies. Welcome. This is Deeply Madly Modern. You may recognize this face, Christene Barberich. Season 1 was beyond, and we loved having Christene on and seeing inside of her beautiful Brooklyn loft. Such a vibe. Such a vibe. You get it? So we're going thrifting. I'm so excited. I haven't been thrifting in New York in literally forever. And I'm excited.
What a shame.
I know.
What a shame.
I'm excited to go with you. I don't know, did we talk about this in episode 1 or your first episode where we met on a trip and we kept leaving everyone to go to like flea markets, and we found every single time we could to thrift and shop and have.
We were the gateway drug.
We
Everybody
really
really wanted a thrift, but everyone was afraid to say so,
Yeah.
and everyone was afraid to sort of figure it out, but we were just like, no, we need to make this a priority.
Yeah. So I love that about us. We took charge and just encouraged everyone to lean into their addiction.
Yes.
So we're going to go to 2 of your favorite places.
Mm-hmm.
One, the Opera, what is it?
It's the New York City Opera Thrift Store.
And how long have you been shopping there?
I've been shopping there since they had a location, which personally I preferred the old location. It was a little bit smaller. It was on 23rd Street. And
wait, I've been to that location.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I thought I hadn't gone.
It was great. It had 2 floors and tons of books, and I bought, that Art Deco mirror that you noticed at the New York City Opera Thrift Store. But so many special things, and they moved their space to a big former gallery space in Chelsea, and it's a gorgeous building and it's a gorgeous space, but I think I just have an affection for, I'm a little nostalgic for the old space.
Yeah, I feel you.
This one's much bigger though.
It is bigger.
I like this. See, if I was going to get something, I would get this.
Yeah.
Yes, I like this bench.
Tell us what you like about it.
I like that it's small, because we have a small apartment. I like that it's really versatile. Like, you could use it probably at the end of the dining table if you needed like extra seating. It's pretty neutral, so it would go with a lot of different decors. Put books on it. If my daughter fell into it, she wouldn't need stitches. That's always really good. But it's $350, which it's too high.
So when you're looking for books in a thrift store or secondhand, like what are you looking for?
I mean, honestly, I always look for kind of unusual niche topics that I might not be sort of thinking about in my everyday life, but I get curious about. Like, I just saw this one, and it's like American pewter.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, I'm not a collector of pewter, but I was like, oh, that's interesting. And it's like you can kind of go down this little rabbit hole and feel like you are a little bit smarter about like what you're actually looking for. So if I were to find something that was pewter, I might like know a little bit more about it. And then I'm always looking for old, obscure design books.
I just bought a bunch of books on like Japanese woodworking. Like, I'm not woodworking, but it's just interesting.
Yes, it's so interesting. You can kind of like, I don't know, have this sort of recreational kind of learning that feels like there's no pressure. And I don't know, I just feel inspired by it. It helps me in my own like life too. It's sort of a form of therapy. So yeah. And then sometimes too, if you go through these, there'll be like an inscription or something where somebody wrote like a note to somebody else. That's always really beautiful.
We're on our best behavior in the thrift store, and honestly,
Look, it doesn't even fit in the frame.
It's honestly,
There.
I just need to reach further.
I know, right?
You make the mask fit the frame. The mask does not need to fit.
Really?
The frame fits the mask.
Thanks so much. Bye. Take care.
So I feel like no matter where people are, they think that they can't thrift there. So one of the things I hear a lot is if I find something on a marketplace or in a thrift store, well, oh, you're in LA, or oh, you're in New York, or oh, you need to be in the Midwest so that everything isn't picked over. I think you can find something anywhere, and I'm sure you would agree. So for people thinking if you're in a major metropolitan area that you can't find like good deals or that everything is sort of ran through or picked over, what would you say would be like a good tip or approach when picking a vintage store or when you're in there? Like for me, it would be like kind of pay attention to everything and like really comb. But what would be something that you could offer?
I think the most special thing about thrift stores is that they're literally this sort of like connection to the community there. And I think when you want to get to know a new city or a town or anywhere you are, like whenever I go anywhere, it doesn't matter if it's a big city, a small city, another country, the first thing I do is I research thrift stores, because I get to know the locals. You get a sense of like the environment and like where you are and the culture, and also you get to hear so many amazing stories, and there's like a sense of, I don't know, I feel a certain responsibility about respecting those spaces too, because a lot of people have passed away, and these are estates that have been emptied out at these stores, or maybe they're families that have been grieving and sort of like cleaned out a grandmother's house. And I don't know, there's like something very charged about thrift stores that I find really inspiring, and I love that I never know what I'm going to find. The most incredible thing about thrift stores is that they are completely democratic. It's like you can be at like the huge Savers chains or Unique chains, or this little, sort of church charity store, and you can find a vintage Chanel bag. You just can. You can find it anywhere, or you can find garbage.
Yeah.
There's just garbage, and everything smells like mothballs, and you never want to go back again, but you do.
The next time you go, you happen upon a print that is just really special to you or special to the world. It's just possible. I love that.
And as a creative person, the fact that you're not being dictated to by trends or by what's merchandised in stores or in collections, I find really important, because I can start to choose for myself what I like and what I'm drawn to and what feels really exciting to me. And there's something really energizing about that, and it's why so many designers go on these inspiration missions, where they go to flea markets all over Paris, and just like, because you're finding things from all these decades, sometimes centuries past, and you get this very rich history of a part of the world or a whole culture that you just didn't know existed. And it's just really refreshing.
And I feel like to create anything, you have to be able to draw from resources, and the most interesting things are going to be resources that are like far and wide, not just sort of copycatting something you saw last year that we all remember, but being able to interpret something from a really long time ago and extract you from it and then add to it. And that's what makes something like really interesting and dope, whether it's like art that you're creating or a space. Your interpretation of someone's grandma's quilt in your space is going to be cool and interesting versus someone else is going to be super unique. So I feel like no matter where you are in the world, you can find secondhand things, whether it's a thrift shop or a marketplace or whatever, flea market. There's going to be something, but it's really you. Like, you have to kind of extract yourself from those things and be able to like work it into the space. That's what I think. All right, so we're going to another store, which this one's your like favorite.
This is my favorite.
Okay, tell us about it.
It's called Vintage Thrift, which is like the simplest name, and I think it's this beautiful Jewish organization that's attached to it. But the staff, everybody that works there has worked there for years. They're really kind. They have incredible eyes. They show so much respect, and there's such a sense of dignity around everything that they have in their stores. Everything is really affordable, so they move through stuff really quickly, so you can find amazing things there, and it's really an equal balance of vintage designer, vintage fashion, secondhand fashion. You can find anything from an old Zara dress, which I've done recently, to Adidas sneakers, but then you can also find like vintage Lanvin and incredible, like when we were there last, there was like this men's Madras like Yohji Yamamoto blazer that I really wanted. It was $150, which was a little bit high for me, but it was so special and unique, and the only one, the only one. And it's like, when you think about how special those things are when there's only one of them, and how you play this really important role in keeping the life cycle of these beautiful objects like moving. It's really cool. And so you get this whole inspiration trip when you go thrifting, but then you also find these like treasures that become part of your collection. And I think it really helps us. This is something I spend a lot of time thinking about in my newsletter, is about this idea of collecting and being intentional about the things that you buy. And it's okay to shop, it's totally okay to shop, but I think there's also a kind of thinking about why you're shopping and the impulses to shop and like what scratches that itch. And for me, it's always about the pattern, the fabric, the tag. I mean, old tags are just
They're so
bananas.
good, yeah.
And I'm such a sentimental person. When you think about something that was loved by somebody and a treasured part of their collection, that like just, it really moves me.
I feel overwhelmed by furniture specifically.
Yeah.
I love the idea of, you know, finding things, and I do love a vintage tag too. And I love the things that I've noticed, like when we shop together or whatever, we sort of gravitate toward the same things, or like pointing out things or noticing similar things.
These are really pretty too.
Oh, it's a lily. I was like, is that a ghost?
We held those up before. Aren't they pretty?
They're so cute.
More expensive.
But I always...
You and I love the same things. We just found that. I pointed out. You gonna get that? That's beautiful.
It's 125.
How much is it?
125.
Negotiable? That color is really special.
It always makes me feel closer to friends, like that we are paying attention to things, or like those objects are kind of calling our eye, and it kind of is a unifying sort of thing. But I remember a friend of mine was doing an estate sale for a property in Pasadena that Quincy Jones had owned, and all the original rugs were there, and just these like the most absurd table, like everything was outrageous, like outrageous.
Quincy Jones, the architect or the producer?
The producer.
Okay.
She was FaceTiming me and laughing hysterical because we're both like emotional about, you know, vintage and objects and things.
And Quincy Jones.
I was like getting teary-eyed because I was like, I want to be in this room. I want to be transported to whatever 1976, and I want my feet to touch this carpet, and you know, I want to drink from this glass. And it's just like, it's not just a beautiful object, but you feel like you can see your life almost lived in these objects. Mm-hmm. And so it's just really cool that, you know, that emotional connection is shared. And it's such a fun way to like bond with friends, or how you frequently will be like, oh, this is a great gift. This is a great gift.
I don't usually buy like, you know, old fiction, or maybe like if I see old Joan Didion or Patti Smith, or, you know, writers that I love, like I would like old Graham Greene, like I would get this. This is a goodie. Because like you get books like this and you can always give them as gifts. Like, look how beautiful the design is too.
It's so good.
And it's $2.
And I think both of us, like, one of our love languages is like gift giving or receiving, either way, and always picking up the thing that you see, because you know it's special and you may not need it in a moment, but it's better than like scrambling at birthday time, like, and getting them some gift card or some, you know, just like not thoughtful thing that just doesn't, you know, speak to your relationship. So I'm excited to go shopping and check out all of the stuff that we're going to check out. You, through the course of watching or seeing some footage of us hanging out and going into the stores.
Vintage Saks Fifth Avenue top sheet. Obviously Marilyn Monroe used this. I mean, or Zsa Zsa Gabor. Who has a sheet like this? What? Oh my, you could even make a cape out of it. This is so beautiful.
I want a skirt out of that.
I mean, make 3 things out of it. I mean, that's not really the right look, but you know what I'm talking about.
I think one of the call outs of the first store we went to would be you finding a slip dress that was super fantastic, that you wore out of the store. I'm kind of obsessed with that, because it is like peak Kelly, like the impulse of the Sagittarius, right? We have that in common.
And also everyone gets involved.
Yeah,
like
it was fun.
The woman who works at the store was like weighing in, and then there was another woman shopping who, like, you know, sort of contributed a little feedback, and, you know, I did a little walk, a little runway walk.
Yeah.
And there's something like that dress was mine. I knew it was mine. I walked out of the store in it, and it was just like great. It worked with my outfit that I was wearing strangely, and it was $20, I think. Yeah. So good. And there was this like little green vase with... Did you get that vase?
I didn't. It was just, you know, again, the price was a little much. I don't know who the designer was, so I can't say that it wasn't worth it. It was just more than I wanted to spend on that type of an object.
That's totally fair.
Yeah.
But we took a moment to appreciate it. We took a picture of it.
It's beautiful.
Sometimes having a picture is just as good as buying it. And I do think that that's a really important tip, because we also saw an Alvar Aalto table. There's
Mhm.
like a little side desk that, and I am a enormous Alvar Aalto fan, and we have a lot of his furniture in our house, and I'd never seen a desk like this, but I took a picture of it, and I actually felt okay that I didn't buy it because it was expensive. I had no place to put it. I didn't really need it, but I feel like I saw it, I kind of like honored it, and now if I need to reference it, at least I have a picture of it, you know? So
Mhm.
it's like, it's not...
And at the right time,
Yeah.
when there's a place to put it, a space to put it, the price is right, it'll find you again.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. I really enjoyed the vintage thrift store because it gave me the feeling of like a crowded thrift. I love a crowded thrift. I'm down to dig. But it was curated in that it was like cleaned up and everything was very organized. But it did give me that feeling of like I like a lot of stuff in a store.
I'm gonna find something great, like
I'm gonna
maybe
find
a
something great.
$10 piece of art.
I know. Insert art here that I found. And it's just this man who is just exasperated. Like, he is done. And I think it is so funny. And Diego, who's our videographer, was like, I want to put this above a desk. And I was like, that is a perfect place. Because it's like, your work desk is the perfect place to feel like completely
He
like...
needs a coffee break.
Yeah, like...
He's on the verge of a coffee break, right?
I'm out.
Yeah.
You know, he's like ready to tap out.
It's like I need a little
Yeah,
espresso.
it's so hilarious. But shopping was so fun, and I'm glad that we got to do it together. I hope we can do it again.
Of course we will.
And
It's
obviously,
a tradition now.
it's a tradition. Christine's newsletter is elite. If you are not subscribed, you're making a huge mistake. It's thoughtful and witty and fun and informative, and it has all the things. And as someone who reads, I don't know, a paragraph and I need a nap, I can read the entire newsletter in one sitting. So I super suggest that you subscribe and sign up and check out what she has to say on any number of
It's
things.
called The Tiny Apartment.
The Tiny Apartment. It'll be linked in the description
Substack.
box so that you just click the link and you enter email, and then she will magically email you once a week. So you get to be friends too. Thank you for watching. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it feels good to
Thanks,
be in the
everybody.
city. And definitely check out her actual home tour. I'll link that video as well if you want to see.
It's a goodie.
It's so good.
It's a real
so
goodie.
good. It's just fun. And like, we go through her wardrobe and you get to see how playful her daughter's room is. It's just a very, very fun episode. So anyway, thank you for watching. Love you, mean it. Bye.
Bye.